In this episode of Locked On Capitals, we talk about the Washington Capitals and the moves that they made in the offseason. How do they stand up to the other teams in the Metro Division? Let's talk about that next on this edition of Locked On Capitals.
Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello and welcome into this edition of Locked On Capitals. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. As always, this podcast is free and available on all the major platforms, and I want to thank you for making this your first listen or view of the day. Yes, this podcast is also available in video form, so head on over to YouTube and check it out. And when you're on YouTube, make sure and hit that subscribe button. And if you like the videos, hit the thumbs up button. It really helps grow the channel. My name is Dan Holney. You can find me on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show on Twitter. It's at Locked On Caps. So in this episode, we are going to talk about the moves that the Washington Capitals made. We know that Brian McClellan and company kind of swung for the fences and made some big acquisitions, Dylan Strome, Darcy Kemper, Connor Brown, etc. But were the moves that the Capitals made, were they enough to compete in the Metro? We'll talk about that in this episode. So just to start off here, the moves that they made, and this is an article in Nova Caps, they talk about it. The Philadelphia Flyers, to start off here, how much better are the Philadelphia Flyers in this division or the Metro division? As we know that they had kind of an off season, they do have a new head coach in John Tortorella. And I know that he is a coach that, people have opinions on him. Either they think that, he's too over the top, or they think that he is a head coach that gets results. I tend to think that, he does a pretty good job. I know that he likes to ruffle some people's feathers, some players' feathers, if you will. But I also think that he gets results in turn. And I think that, I don't think that the Philadelphia Flyers are going to be a lot better next season. But I think in the years to come, I think that they will be quite a bit better. The Flyers acquired head coach John Tortorella. Cooper Merity, and then Tony D'Angelo. They re-signed Justin Braun. So some of the ones that they lost, the players that they lost were Oscar Lindbaum. And then they also lost interim head coach Mike Yeo. I don't think that that's really a big down thing for them to lose Mike Yeo. He's a head coach. It's kind of bounced around a little bit, and he hasn't had really good results on any of the teams that he's played on. I mean, I remember him being the head coach for the Minnesota Wild, for example, and he didn't, he got some results briefly, but overall, he didn't. It wasn't enough to make them a competing team, shall we say. The Flyers did not change much this offseason in terms of their roster, but did bring in a new coaching staff led by Tortorella. They acquired D'Angelo from the Hurricanes and signed two forwards that will play on the fourth line at the highest. Most likely, Philadelphia should be doing more as to be offloading some players since the team seems poised to be in the conversation to land a consensus 2023 first overall pick, Connor Bedard. In this particular article, they rank the Philadelphia Flyers with a C, a trending down. And, the Flyers are a bit of an interesting team, is that, for years, let's rewind the clock. What was it, 3-4 years ago, maybe more than that they were actually a pretty good team. But, like a lot of other teams there's players that move on or they trade them away. And then you're kind of in this awkward position of, what kind of lineup is going to be out on the ice. And, I think that they also suffered from some poor coaching as well. So I think that John Tortorella is a proven commodity, and I think that he will help right that ship in Philadelphia. So it remains to be seen. Like I say, I don't think that the Flyers are going to be good next season. Maybe not next season. I think it's kind of a reclamation project, kind of a work in progress, if you will. But I do think that, in years to come, they might be decent. The next team on this list is the New Jersey Devils. They acquired Andre Palat, 5 years, $6 million. Brendan Smith, 2 years, 1.1. Eric Halla, assistant coach Andrew Burnett. So that's an interesting move there too. Moving on from the head coaching position, Vitek Vanacek, as we all know, 46th overall pick in the 2022 NHL draft. John Marino, they re-signed. They didn't re-sign anyone. They lost Connor Carrick, former Capital, Pavel Zacha, the 37th overall pick. They also lost Ty Smith and a bunch of other players there. So the New Jersey Devils, I think, are going to be quite a bit better. They did make some pretty decent acquisitions. And it's going to remain to be seen how this Devils team does with Vitek Vanacek ostensibly being the starting netminder for that team. I know what kind of results that we had from Vitek Vanacek on the Capitals, but this is going to be the New Jersey Devils defense and the players in front of him. Are they going to be able to get a better result out of Vitek Vanacek with that different coaching system and with those different players in front of them? That remains to be seen. Just looking at them, the Devils shook up their forward group with a couple of changes, including getting Palat after he notched 11 goals and 21 points in 23 postseason games for the Tampa Bay Lightning this spring, and trading Zacha to the Boston Bruins for Hala. They didn't change much other than besides a defenseman shakeup when they traded Smith and a pick for Marino and acquired Vanacek, though adding Burnett to their coaching staff was a good move after he led the Florida Panthers past the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time in 26 years. The Devils are in a position where they are hoping for more growth from their youth in the 2023 season. They rank them a B. And that's what I'm saying is I think that the Devils are going to be a lot better than they were last season. If you follow, other teams other than the Capitals, you will know that the Devils struggled a little bit last season. But I think that it's going to be an upward trajectory for that team. And I think that like I say, I think that the Metro division got a lot tighter. I think that. A lot of the teams in the Metro Division got a lot better, the Capitals included. So it's going to remain to be seen if it all materializes, because sometimes things on paper necessarily aren't what they are in actuality. The next one on the team is the Columbus Blue Jackets, and this is an interesting story here because Johnny Gaudreau, Johnny Hockey from the Calgary Flames, was saying that he wanted to go back home where he's from, and that's the New Jersey area. So everyone thought it was a lock that he was going to go to the New Jersey Devils or to the Islanders, were the big teams that were rumored out there. And if you watched on free agency, they were just kind of waiting, and they were like, well, it's just going to be a matter of time before he announces, is he either going to the Devils or is he going to go to the Islanders? And then totally out of left field, the Columbus Blue Jackets sign him. And if you're from Canada, I don't think that you're, quite familiar with geography, because they're like, well, he did sign with an East Coast team. He signed with the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I want you to go ahead and pull up a map and take a look at Columbus, Ohio, and see how close that is to New Jersey. It's not real close. So I think that ultimately money was a driving factor there. So the Columbus Blue Jackets acquired Johnny Gaudreau, 7-year contract that carries a $9.8 million cap hit. Eric Gabranson, 4-year contract that was a $4 million cap, and Matthew Oliver. They didn't re-sign anyone. They lost the 122nd overall pick in the 2022 NHL draft. And Gabriel Carlson, as we know that Gabriel Carlson is going to be playing on the Washington Capitals now. So I think that, obviously, you go out and you get one of the biggest name free agents out there. You get Johnny Hockey out there. I think that, again, on paper, it appears that your team is going to be doing a lot better. The Blue Jackets got the prize of free agent market when they signed Gaudreau, which should provide some much needed scoring punch up front. The contract given to Gabranson was a bit outrageous after the 30-year-old set career highs with 6 goals, 11 assists, 17 points, and a plus 15 rating. So he had a 57.56% 5-on-5 Corsi percentage and a 53.18 5-on-5 expected goals for percentage and a 55.64 5-on-5 scoring chances. So just taking a look at it, the Blue Jackets made one other minor deal where they sent a mid-pick to the Nashville Predators for Oliver. So in this article, they grade what they did an A. And I think, you really can't argue with that. kind of swinging for the fences and getting someone like Johnny Gaudreau on your team. I think that you really can't argue with those kind of moves. Those are big moves, and I do think that the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to be a lot better. But I don't think that one player is going to make them that much better. You want to bring this back home a little bit. Take a look at the Washington Nationals. A lot of people were up in arms when Juan Soto left, or he went out to the Padres along with Josh Bell, right? But Juan Soto can't win all the games. Sure, Juan Soto is a big name, but he can't do it all. So that's the same thing with Johnny Gaudreau. He's a good player, but if their goaltending is horrible, or if they have issues on defense, or they can't get other scoring, then I still don't think they're going to be that great of a team. I think that they're going to be better than they were last year, but ultimately, I don't think that they are going to be much of a contender. I guess it remains to be seen, but I don't think that that one move alone is going to be enough to kind of move the needle, if you will. All right. So after the break here, we're going to continue to talk about the Capitals and how they rank in the Metro Division. We'll talk about that next. Our next partner has a product I use literally every day. I started taking Athletic Greens because I wanted more energy and I wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. I wanted to see what the hype was about. Now I've been taking it for a few months now, and it doesn't taste like it's super healthy. It has kind of a mild tropical taste that I actually look forward to taking each morning. So, what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all of these things. Now, I use it because I have some young children at home. And if you have young children at home, maybe you can relate. You can use that extra boost of energy. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy free, or gluten free. Contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. Supports better sleep quality and recovers, supports mental clarity and alertness. It's the one thing with the best things. Athletic Greens uses the best products based on the latest science with constant product iterations and third party testing. So, the importance of a multivitamin. Tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. AG1 is a small micro habit with big benefits. It's the one thing you can do every single day to take care of yourself. Your subscription comes with a year's supply of vitamin D, which is so important. It costs less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's cheaper than getting all the different supplements yourself. You're investing in an all in one nutritional insurance. So, to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1 year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL network to take ownership over your health and pick up on the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, welcome back to this edition of Locked On Capitals as we keep going through the offseason here. Training camp will be starting next month, but in this particular episode, we are talking about the Capitals and how do they rank in comparison to the other teams in the Metro Division. The Capitals did make some big moves, and again, I give Brian McClellan A+ marks for what he did. He went out, he realized that we had an issue in net, and guess what he did? He cut bait with both of the netminders. He got Darcy Kemper and Charlie Lindgren. So I think that the netminding situation for the Capitals will be much improved. He also picked up Dylan Strome and Connor Brown. Gustafson, Gabriel Carlson. He picked up some really great players, so it remains to be seen how the Capitals will fare this season. So the next team on this list is the New York Islanders. They acquired head coach Lane Lambert, kind of a questionable move, and I talked about that quite a bit in this offseason here, is to cut ties with Barry Trotz in favor of Lane Lambert. It is a questionable move, to be sure, because we all know what happened when the Capitals did that and the kind of results that they ended up getting when you kind of have an unproven commodity as a head coach. And I don't know why Barry Trotz keeps getting the cold shoulder from all these teams. See the Washington Capitals, see the New York Islanders. Why is that? I guess I'm not really too sure. Kind of some of the things that I've heard from different insiders or different beat writers from the New York Islanders is that he didn't have necessarily maybe a great rapport with younger players, or he was hesitant, shall we say, to use younger players. So they also acquired Alexander Romanov and a 98th overall pick in the 2022 draft. They re-signed Sebastian Aho and Robin Salo. They lost head coach Barry Trotz and assistant coach Jim Hiller in the 13th overall pick in 2022. And taking a look at this Islanders team, do I think that the Islanders are a lot better without Barry Trotz at the helm with Lane Lambert pushing the buttons? No, I don't think so at all. After firing Trotz, the Islanders have been quiet as their only on ice transaction has been trading for Romanov, missing the postseason, and then watching teams like the Blue Jackets, the Red Wings, the Ottawa Senators improve while doing it. Nothing is not ideal, and they rate them or grade them as an F. And I got to kind of agree there. It just, some of the moves that they made were so questionable. And so, what is the rumor mill out there? There's more and more rumors out there saying that Lou Lamoriello is going to announce that the Islanders signed Nazem Kadri, but he's not going to do it until the fall. As you know, that Lou Lamoriello is kind of a guy that likes to keep his cards close to the vest, shall we say, and it's kind of questionable moves for him because he's a guy that's usually a bit of a mover and a shaker. So for him to just kind of let this team stand pat with what they have on the ice without making any big acquisitions is just kind of a bit of a surprise. All right, so the next team on the list is a big, formidable foe for the Washington Capitals, the Pittsburgh Penguins. They acquired Smith, they had Jeff Petrie, Josh Archibald, Drake Kagila, Jan Ruta, and Dustin Tokarski, Ryan Poling, and they re-signed Evgeny Malkin, and that was one of the players that they were talking about, that Evgeny Malkin, what would that be like if he came to the Capitals? I think ultimately, that was just kind of spitballing and seeing, what kind of outrageous thing, we could make connections with Evgeny to the Capitals. But I don't think that he would have fit that well on this team. He is, a bit prone to the injury bug. They also re-signed Ricard Raquel, Chris Letang, Casey DeSmith to a 2-year contract that carries a $1.8 million cap hit. They lost Marino, Evan Rodriguez, Danton Heinen, Anthony Angelo, Mike Matheson in a 2023 fourth round pick. And, just taking a look at some of the moves that the Penguins made, do I think that they are going to be better next season? I think that, I think they kind of suffer from some of the same things that the Capitals suffer from. And that is an aging roster, kind of like the Boston Bruins. So it's going to remain to be seen how much better that Pittsburgh Penguins team is. I know that they did make some acquisitions. I think they did a good thing by solidifying the netminding position. But I would love nothing more than for that Pittsburgh Penguins team to fall on their face, because they are a big competitor, and they are always one of the biggest rivalries, shall we say, with the Washington Capitals. So if they played really poorly this next season, I guess I wouldn't be too upset. All right, so after the break here, we are going to continue to talk about the Metro Division and how do the Capitals stack up. We'll talk about that next. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find your favorite sports and events at the number one online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, welcome back to this edition of Locked On Capitals, as we are profiling and kind of ranking the moves that the Washington Capitals made and how do they stand up against the other teams in the Metro. So the next team on the list is the New York Rangers. They acquired Vincent Trocheck, 7-year contract that carries a $5.625 million cap hit. Ty Emberson, Louis Domingue, Yaroslav Halak, and they re-signed Labor Hayak. And they lost a bunch of players here as well that I'm not going to list because it is quite a lengthy list here. The Rangers shook things up down the middle in goal while losing Kopp and Strome. Hertz, Trocheck should be a formidable second line center. After trading Gorgiev, they acquired Halak to back up Igor Shesterkin and Domingue to be their third string. And that was one of the things that the Rangers got kind of exposed on too, was in the playoffs. Is, you got to have a good number 3 goalie as well, because there is always the possibility that your number 1 or number 2 could get injured, and you have to have that depth in house. The Rangers dumped Nemeth's $2.5 million cap hit for next 2 seasons to the Arizona Coyotes. Losing Vetrano was also not ideal. The grading there was a C minus. And I think the Rangers have made some kind of solid moves, and they're a kind of a team that's coming on the outside of a rebuild. And I think they did a pretty good job. I think that they'll be contenders next season. If you think about it, they were playing in the postseason, and I think they improved their lineup overall. I don't think that they made it much worse. So next, taking a look at the Carolina Hurricanes. The Hurricanes finally got their finisher when they acquired Pacioretty as well as Coughlin from the Vegas Golden Knights, and did not have to give up anything to get him. After trading DeAngelo, they picked up another offensive-minded defenseman in Burns, with the only major piece heading to the San Jose Sharks was Lawrence, Carolina's fourth line center last season. The Hurricanes also bet low on Case, who has an upside as a 20-goal scorer in 66 games during the 17-18 season with the Anaheim Ducks. With a couple of major acquisitions, Carolina could be the President's Trophy race in 2022-23, and they grade him an A as well, and I've got to agree with that. I think that the Carolina Hurricanes were a team for years that wasn't that good, but I think that they're on the upward swing of things, and I look for big things from the Carolina Hurricanes this next season. So next, our home team, the Washington Capitals, and the moves that they made by acquiring Dylan Strome, 1-year, $3.5 million contract, right wing Connor Brown, center Henrik Borgstrom, goalie Charlie Lindgren, goalie Darcy Kemper, and defenseman Eric Gustafson. They re-signed Matt Irwin, a depth defenseman, and Marcus Johansson. They lost Vanacek, Justin Schultz, Ilya Samsonov. So I think that the Capitals did an excellent job in this offseason. I would challenge anyone to kind of pick apart any mistakes that the Capitals made. After their 4th straight first-round exit in the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Capitals have been busy as they acquired Brown from the Senators, with a right wing Tom Wilson expected to be out somewhere in between Thanksgiving and the NHL All-Star break with a torn ACL, and Strome with center Nicholas Backstrom expected to miss most of the season, undergoing a hip resurfacing procedure. They also went under big renovations in net, letting both Samsonov and Vanacek go, and signing Kemper fresh off winning a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche, in addition to Lindgren, who impressed during a 5-game stint in the NHL with the St. Louis Blues last season. On defense, they added a defenseman with some offensive upside in Gustafson on a cheap deal to replace Schultz, and retained Irwin to be the 7th blue liner. And that's just kind of, Irwin knowing his role as kind of a depth defenseman. The pressure was on the team's core aging and a couple of star players on the shelf for significant parts of the season, but the Capitals extended their Stanley Cup window with an active and productive offseason, though they may need to shed forward or two at some point in the near future, and they grade the Capitals as a B+, and I got to agree with that. I think that it is some solid moves. And just to close out the podcast here, in the hockey news, they were kind of talking about the moves that the Capitals made, and they said the Washington Capitals, like 2 of the other 3 teams on the list, the Capitals put all their chips behind a goalie this summer who may come to regret it. In Washington's case, it's Darcy Kemper, who was the starting goalie for the Colorado Avalanche in the Avs Stanley Cup winning season this past year, who got a big money long-term contract that Washington may soon come to regret sooner than later. That's an interesting thing, isn't it? The Caps gave the 32-year-old Kemper an annual salary of $5.25 million for the next 5 seasons. That's a lot of term for a goalie whose SP in the most recent postseason was a pedestrian .902 and whose regular season record was 37, 12, and 4. And that's on a team that was significantly better than the Washington Capitals. The Capitals will be without stars Nicholas Backstrom and Tom Wilson for a significant period of time in the 22-23 campaign, putting immediate pressure on Kemper to begin next year. Should Kemper slump in any way, the Caps will slide down the Metro Division standings, and on an upstart team like the Columbus Blue Jackets or the New Jersey Devils could leapfrog Washington and put them in a catch-up position for the remainder of the season. Missing the playoffs in the first year with the Capitals would be an awful way for Kemper to begin his tenure in DC, but that's a distinct possibility now. Caps GM Brian McClellan didn't do anything else on free agency kickoff day, but Kemper contract alone could make Washington losers in the big picture. And that was obviously written some time ago, but that was in the hockey news. That was them reviewing what the Washington Capitals did in signing Darcy Kemper. And, I got to agree in part with what he's talking about is that, Darcy Kemper is a bit of an unproven commodity. I know that he had a really great season last season with the Colorado Avalanche, but how will that translate to a Washington Capitals team, a different defense, different players around him? I guess it remains to be seen. I am going to be hopeful that Darcy Kemper will have a good season with the Washington Capitals, as well Charlie Lindgren have called upon, and if you go down the depth chart, Zach Fucale as well. So I think that the Capitals are sitting pretty as far as the net minding position, despite what that reviewer from the Hockey Writers had to say, or the Hockey News rather. So I think that there's a lot of hate that goes on for the Washington Capitals and the aging roster, but for me, I'm going to take a positive outlook, as I think this team made some really big acquisitions. Thank you for making Locked On Capitals your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On NHL. Locked On experts give you a daily 30-minute podcast on all things NHL all year long. Stay up to date on everything in the hockey world. Locked On NHL, your daily 30-minute NHL podcast. All right, so once again, thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, and I'll talk to you next time.